Hi guys, so yesterday's video I did my anticipated releases for 2020 that are sequels, and today I'm going to be doing some anticipated releases that are either debuts or first in series. Jumping into it, we have the Unspoken Names. It's going to be put out by Tor and it comes out February 11th, so quite soon. For some of these, I'll just give you a very brief overview of what the synopsis says, but in this one's case, I think the synopsis is pretty short and to the point and does a great job of getting me hyped for the book. So I'm gonna read it to you. There are some names I have no idea how to say, so sorry. The synopsis says, "What if you knew how and when you will die? Kasorwe does. She will climb the mountain, enter the Shrine of the Unspoken, and gain the most honored title, Sacrifice. But on the day of her foretold death, a powerful mage offers her a new fate: leave with him and live. Turn away from her destiny and her god to become a thief, a spy, an assassin, the wizard's loyal sword. Topple an empire and help him reclaim his seat of power. But Kasorwe will soon learn gods remember, and if you live long enough, all debts come due." I think that sounds very interesting. Anytime you have spy or assassin, I'm instantly intrigued. And when you have both and you have the words reclaim power, it fits a bunch of my book buzzwords. Next up on this list is Girl, Serpent, Thorn. It is scheduled to be released in May, and it's being described as a new fairy tale. The main character is poisonous to the touch. She is a part of a royal family, but she's kind of kept hidden away. And then she discovers that there is this demon that might be able to give her some answers about what's going on with her, but in seeking that demon out, she might end up kind of becoming a monster herself. I love pretty much everything to do with fairy tales. I just think they are so fun, and I usually find things are fairy tale retellings, so if it's a new fairy tale, that's great. And the cover, I know covers don't matter, but this cover is so pretty. Next on this list is one that there's no release date, there's no cover image, but when I look up releases for 2020, this pops up on lists, so there's a chance it could come out. And that would be Threads of Power by V.E. Schwab. This is going to exist in the same world as Shades of Magic. I've known for a long time that she was going to write more in that world, but if it could come out soon, that would be awesome. Next on this list is a book that comes out in January on the 21st, so very soon, and it's called Spell Hacker. This book sounds like such a fun time. It follows this place where magic exists, and it used to be fairly readily accessible, but something happened, and now magic is very tightly controlled by a greedy corporation, and our main characters are kind of running an illegal thing where they sell magic, and they are given an opportunity to try and do one last heist, but things don't quite go according to plan. They discover some conspiracies, and it just seems like such a good time. Next up, we have a book coming out in March. It is called The Winter's Duke, and I have seen nobody talk about this. There's hardly anything for it on Goodreads as far as arcs and things like that, where people can get books early and then rate it and things like that. There's hardly anything out there, but the cover is stunning, and it says it's like a combination of Sleeping Beauty and Anastasia. And I don't know about you guys, but that sounds great. It has, what I can tell, a trope that I really like, which is the "I'm not ready to take the throne" trope, and it follows a girl who has a bunch of siblings, and her father and all of her family members basically end up succumbing to this magical curse where everybody falls asleep except for her. So now she's suddenly kind of thrust into power. She's got to try to figure out what the heck is going on, how to rule, and also see if there's a way that she can help out her family. Next up, coming out in September, we have a book by J. Kristoff, and that would be Empire of the Vampire. The description for this book kind of says it's like the love child of The Road, Interview with the Vampire, and Name of the Wind. And the Name of the Wind part, especially when I was reading the synopsis, definitely seemed like it because it's somebody telling their life story, which apparently is the Name of the Wind storytelling device now. That's just how we refer to it. But it seems very interesting. It's got this post-apocalyptic thing, and there's vampires. I would only want to know that. When I was reading the description, it was kind of sort of telling me a lot that happens in this story, and I think it's because of the fact that it's got the "I'm telling you my life story" way of telling the story, but I don't want to know everything, so I almost want to discourage people from looking into it too much as far as the description goes if the concept of the 3 books mentioned combined sounds interesting to you. I don't know, maybe you want more details, but I had to kind of thrust the information that I had just read out of my brain because I felt like I was getting the whole story. Next up, we have Scavenged the Stars. This comes out very soon, January 7th. And this one, this is all I'm going to say because I feel like this is all anybody needs to know. It's apparently a gender swap retelling of The Count of Monte Cristo. Coming out on that same day, we have The Nameless Queen. I'm going to read the first part of the synopsis because I don't know about you guys, but once again, this guy just has a lot of my book buzzwords in it. It says, one girl must make a name for herself or die trying in this royal fantasy where an unknown peasant becomes the ultimate ruler, but how long can she keep the crown if everyone wants her dead? Having it say unknown peasant to ultimate ruler, that's basically rags to riches. That's essentially what they're saying. And that is a trope that I love. And then when people not only get power, but then everybody's after them and they're in danger, I never get tired of that. It's probably going to be similar to other things I've read, but I don't care because that's one of those things that I just can't get enough of. Next up, we have a book coming out on February 11th. It's called Ink in the Blood. And the premise for this sounds very interesting, quite unique. It follows these 2 girls who are really good friends, who are the priestesses, they're tattoo priestesses for this corrupt religion. And so what they do is they tattoo these things that are supposed to give people guidance onto people's bodies, but they know that the religion is a sham, it's corrupt, and so they try to escape by joining this traveling, basically performing group, and they start performing, and turns out that the goddess of the religion does indeed exist, and now she wants to use their new fame in this traveling group to spread her evil. Next on this list would be All the Stars and Teeth. This is scheduled to be released on February 4th, and it says it's set in a kingdom where danger lurks beneath the sea, mermaids seek vengeance with song, and magic is a choice, which I think that's all I really need to know. I find that a lot of times things that have to do with sirens or mermaids, they're a good time, but I don't always end up absolutely loving them. But I'm still waiting, and I think this is going to be the first in a series. I think that's the problem for me, is a lot of these mermaid siren stories are one and done standalones, and I end up wanting more because it's a whole kingdom under the sea, and the sea is really big, so there's got to be a lot of stuff going on down there. And so if you have a series, I feel like the potential is fantastic. Next up, we have a book called Shadows Between Us, which is supposed to come out February 25th, and oh my gosh, this book sounds kind of both really funny and really morbid at the same time. The premise is that there is a shadow king that is ruling the land, and our main character, her plan is to seduce him, get him to marry her, and then kill him so that she can have all the power. And the only problem with her plan is that there are a lot of other people that want the Shadow King dead, so she has to keep him alive long enough to try to get him to fall in love with her, marry her, so that she can kill him. But in the meantime, she's finding maybe she doesn't actually want to kill this guy. I don't know if it's supposed to be amusing, but the premise sounds hilarious to me. I know it sounds kind of dark at the same time because we're talking about, you know, like murdering somebody, which, wow, am I sounding like a crazy person right now? In a fictional sense, this sounds morbid but funny to me. I'm just gonna stop. Let's move on to the next one. The next book is scheduled to be released in May on the 26th, and it's called The Gilded Ones. The synopsis, it says, in this world, girls are outcasts by blood and warriors by choice. Our main character ends up having to embark on this journey where she's supposed to become this part of a group of warriors that's all girls. But in doing this, she's discovering more about herself and the kingdom and how there might be some shady stuff going on. In the synopsis, it compares it to Children of Blood and Bone because it is African inspired. But there's a part of me that feels kind of bad because there are other books on this list too that I feel like every young adult book that's kind of dark-ish is like, oh, it's perfect for fans of Lee Bardugo. And then anything that has a hint of romance is like perfect for fans of Sarah J. Maas. And so this one is like African-inspired. It's like Children of Blood and Bone. I just feel like, I don't know, it being African-inspired, what if it's nothing like Children of Blood and Bone except for that element? But for those of you that maybe that is something that definitely intrigues you. I felt like it'd be helpful to know. Next up, we have a book scheduled to be released on June 23rd, and that would be Forest of Souls. This is one where I'm just gonna read pretty much the entire synopsis to you because it sounds interesting, kind of different, kind of unique, and I feel like I'm gonna butcher it if I try to summarize it myself, so I'm gonna read to you. The synopsis, which has a lot of characters whose names I'm sure I'm gonna say wrong, but it says, Saoirse Ashwin comes from nothing, but she's intent on becoming something. After years of training to become the Queen's next royal spy, her plans are derailed when shamans attack and kill her best friend, Sengo. And then Saoirse somehow restores Senga to life. Unveiled as the first light wender in living memory, Saoirse is summoned to the domain of the Spider King. For centuries, he has used his influence over the Deadwood, an ancient forest possessed by souls, to enforce peace between the kingdoms. Now, with the trees growing wild and untamed, only a light wender can restrain them. As war looms, Saoirse must master her newly awakened abilities before the trees shatter the brittle peace, or worse, claim Sengo, the friend she would die for. I think basically everything about the synopsis sounds really interesting and intriguing, but I especially am eager to see how the friendship between these two characters plays out because I feel like, I don't know, I don't see friendship done that often in books, and so if this one does a good friendship, I would love to see that. This next one, Woven in Moonlight, is scheduled to come out in January. This is another one where I'm just gonna read to you the synopsis because there's a lot to this one. And once again, a lot of names I'm not going to say correctly. The synopsis says, a lush tapestry of magic, romance, and revolution, drawing inspiration from Bolivian politics and history. Ximena is the decoy Condessa, a stand-in for the last remaining Alestrian royal. Her people lost everything when the usurper Atok used an ancient relic to summon ghosts and drive the Alestrians from a place. Now Ximena is motivated by her insatiable thirst for revenge and her rare ability to spin thread from moonlight. When Atok demands the real Condessa's hand in marriage, it's Ximena's duty to go in her stead. She relishes the chance, as Alestrian spies have reported that Atok's no longer carrying his deadly relic. If Ximena can find it, she can return the true aristocrata to their rightful place. She hunts for the relic using her weaving ability to hide messages in tapestries from the resistance. But when a masked vigilante, a warm-hearted princess, and a thoughtful healer challenge Ximena, her mission becomes more complicated. There could be a way to overthrow the usurper without starting another war, but only if Ximena turns her back on revenge and her Condessa. All of that sounds good. It also, the fact that it says it's inspired by Bolivian politics and history, that also sounds really good to me. The last book on this list would be the Bone Criers Moon, which is scheduled to be released on March 10th. It seems like this one is a multiple point of view story, but I am going to read a snippet from the synopsis, and it says, Bone Criers have a sacred duty. They alone can keep the dead from preying on the living, but their power to ferry the spirits of the dead into Goddess Alera's night heavens or Tyrus's underworld come from sacrifice. The gods demand a promise of dedication, and that promise comes at the cost of the Bone Criers' one true love. I will have all of these books linked down below if there are any that you're like, I have to pre-order that now, because to be fair, a lot of these do sound really interesting in my opinion. Let me know which one you think sounds the most interesting. Let me know if you have your own anticipated releases. I'm not gonna lie, this entire video has been very difficult for me to film because my puppy, she's not really a puppy anymore, but my dog is right there and she's just staring at me and it's so cute. So I'm gonna end the video by showing you where she's been the whole time. It's been making me feel really bad. I feel like I'm neglecting her. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you guys later. Have a great rest of your day. Bye. This has been my view the whole time. Luna, I'm all done now. Yay! Are you hungry? Are you hungry? Okay, let's go. Let's get some food.